So scholars, we know that good readers not only read books, but also retell or summarize the book back to themselves so that they remember what happened in the book. So today, we are going to summarize The Paperback Princess. And first, we are going to identify the characters and the setting. So we know that the characters are the people or the animals in the story. So in this story, we know that one character, who is the main character, is Elizabeth. So I'm going to do some research and I'm going to write her name right here. Elizabeth. We know that from The Paperback Princess, another character is the dragon. I'm going to write that. That's a basketball. I'm going to dribble it out. The next word is dragon. It's not a basketball word, so I'm going to stretch this word out. Dragon. Elizabeth the dragon. And I know that another character in this book is Ronald, Prince Ronald. So I'm going to do research from the book and I'm going to copy Ronald's name here. Ronald. I'm going to reread this to make sure that I captured all of the characters out of this book. So there's Elizabeth, there's the dragon, and then there's Ronald. So now we're going to figure out the setting in this story, or the settings. We know that this setting is the place of where the characters are in the story, or where the story took place in this book. So I remember in the beginning of this book, Ronald and Elizabeth were in their castle. So I'm going to write castle. It's not a basketball word, so I'm going to stretch it out. Castle. That was just my puppy, don't mind him. I know that another setting in this book is when the dragon burned down the castle and then Elizabeth had to go to the dragon's cave to go to rescue Ronald. So another setting is the cave. Cave is not a basketball word, so I'm going to stretch it out. Silent E, which gives power to the vowel to say its name. Cave. So I'm going to reread it again to make sure I captured all the settings in this book, The Paperback Princess. There's a castle, and then there's a cave. Great. So now that we know the characters and the setting of the story, we are now going to summarize The Paperback Princess. We are going to use this format called Somebody Wanted, But So Then. This is going to give us a structure of how to summarize the main important parts in this book, The Paperback Princess. So, somebody, they're asking us, who is the main character? The main character is the character in the story that comes up a lot, or the story's mostly about. So we know that in this book, the main character is Elizabeth. I'm going to write her name here. And again, I'm going to do research from the book to write the letters in her name. Elizabeth. So, the somebody or the main character is Elizabeth. Now, the second part is wanted. What did the character want? In this story, what did Elizabeth want? So I know that Elizabeth, she wanted to marry Ronald, and then the dragon burned down her castle and all of her clothes and took Ronald with her. So she really wanted to save Ronald from the dragon. That was the most important part. So I'm going to write Elizabeth wanted to save Ronald. Since Elizabeth's written already here, I'm going to copy this word wanted. WANTED. Elizabeth wanted to, it's a basketball, I'm going to dribble it out. TO spells to. Elizabeth wanted to save. It's not a basketball word, so I'm going to stretch this word out. Save. Silent E. Elizabeth wanted to save Ronald. Again, this is Ronald's name that I can do research in the book, so I'm going to write the letters in his name, RONALD. Let's read this again to make sure it makes sense. Elizabeth wanted to save Ronald. So now we know who the somebody is, what Elizabeth wanted. Now we're going to figure out the but part. What was the problem? Elizabeth wanted to save Ronald, but what happened? Oh, I remember in the story, she wanted to save Ronald from the dragon, but the dragon took him in his cave. So I'm going to write, but the dragon took Ronald to his cave. But's reading right here, so I'm going to copy that word. B-U-T. Elizabeth wanted to save Ronald, but it's a bad word, I'm dribbling it out. T-H-E. But the dragon, I'm going to stretch that word out. Dragon. But the dragon took, stretching this word out. Ook. But the dragon took Ronald. I'm going to copy his name right there. R-O-N-A-L-D. But the dragon took Ronald to, spell word, let's strip it together. T-O spells to. But the dragon took Ronald to his. This is also a password. Let's dribble it out. H-I-S. But the dragon took Ronald to his cave. It's not a password, so I'm going to stretch this word out. Cave. Silent E. Let's reread this summary so far. See if it makes sense. Elizabeth wanted to save Ronald, but the dragon took Ronald to his cave. The next part of the summary of this fiction book, The Paperback Princess, is so. So, how did the character, or how did Elizabeth, solve the problem? How did Elizabeth save Ronald from the dragon? And then, after that, how did the story end? So scholars, now it's your turn. You are going to get a chance, or your writing assignment today is you are going to be writing the ending part of this summary about how did the character solve the problem, or how did Elizabeth save Ronald from the dragon, and then how did the story end? You can draw a picture of these two parts, or you can write sentences that matches your picture. We can't wait to read what you wrote about the ending of the summary of The Paperback Princess. Have a great day, scholars.